I'm in a thankful mood today. You want to know why? Because Hilberto finally got verified on Twitter. It's not because I'm happy for that guy. Well, maybe a little. It's well deserved. He's all right. But now I don't have to hear him complain about not having his precious little blue check mark and being left outside in the cold. You happy, my lord? You got your entrance to the Diva Club now. Congrats. Stop complaining, Hilberto. I know you missed my insults last week, but don't you worry. We're still on the same team. It's all good. It's all in good fun. It's another great episode of Compas on the Beat. The Compas brought the heat last week with Ian Rappaport, Mr. Rap Sheet. But the heat doesn't stop this week. The Compas will be joined by the great Jim Trotter of NFL Network and NFL.com. What a brilliant writer. He got into his Derwin James story and how he got started as a journalist. And this right here is why the Compas on the Beat is running away with that Rookie of the Year for podcasting. They deliver all the best guests from the NFL world, so make sure to subscribe to Compas on the Beat on YouTube and turn on the notifications. Also, listen to them on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, and where you'll find all their Chargers post-game recaps. And of course, follow us on Instagram at Compas on the Beat. Now let's get to the best damn podcast in the universe. Play the music, Nando!
Welcome to Compas on the Beat. I'm Fernando Ramirez, Chargers beat reporter for Sports Illustrated, and with me, as always, my co-host and tag team partner, Gilbert Manzano, Chargers beat reporter for the OC Register and LA Daily News / CBS with Jim Hill over the weekend. So, what's up, bro?
Hey, Fernando, I'm doing well. And yeah, you said it. I was on CBS over the weekend with Jim Hill, Jerry O'Connell. So I'm coming off a good weekend. I was on TV. I got verified on Twitter. We had our fantasy football draft, and I watched that stupid Jake Paul Tyron Woodley fight. Don't judge me, okay? But I watched it. Overall, good weekend. Chargers preseason over. We're waiting for cuts right now. Kind of an awkward day, but it was a really good weekend for your boy.
Awkward day to record Compas, which is obviously that means a great day. So before we get into that dumb fight and the Chargers 53-man roster, let's make it a good week for someone, Gilbert.
Okay.
It is time. It's time to reveal the Justin Herbert backflip card winner. I'll tell you something. Dan and Dago tried, but I told him, Dan and Dago, you cannot get in there. You cannot get this contest. This is for this is for fans only. So he really wanted that card, and I was like, no. So yeah, exactly. So let's reveal the winner. Let's get this going right now, Gilbert.
I'm intrigued. I'm interested. I saw your little, what is it, spinning wheel of fortune thing?
Wheel of fortune, bro.
I'm intrigued. Somebody's gonna be a winner of the Justin Herbert flip card as a backup.
Gilbert, can you give me a drum roll, please?
How do you do a drum roll? There you go. Who's that?
Arizona Bolt 17.
Okay. There you go. Congrats, AZ Bolt 17. Let me look him up on my phone real quick.
Congratulations, AZ Bolt 17.
It's a boat, not a bot, right? Let's just make sure it's a real person.
AZ Bolt 17.
Let's see. Oh, Cesar Robles. You have a name, AZ Bolt 17.
Congratulations, Cesar. You are the winner of the Justin Herbert. He's a rookie for a backup for a reason flip card.
Yep, and he did retweet me. There's my picture, my ugly picture. So there you go, Cesar Robles. Congrats on this unique item. It should be in the Hall of Fame one day, because I don't know if Herbert's gonna be a backup anymore or ever again, because that was a historic day. We just came out of nowhere. Fernando lit up the Chiefs and took them to overtime. So Cesar, enjoy, my friend.
So do you think it's like it should be up there with like his jersey and the jersey where he broke the 300-yard passing rookie record and all that stuff in Canton?
Yeah, but we can't have it there on display because Cesar has it now.
Yeah.
But you can put my picture there holding up the flip card. Me next to Keenan and Justin. Why not?
In the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle, just like this.
In the middle. But congratulations, Cesar, on that. That's awesome. We'll look to do some more giveaways this upcoming season. So be on the lookout for that. But now flipping over to a little fantasy football. Gilbert and I partook in a fantasy football. I'm going to let Gilbert take this away, though, because it was his fantasy league.
Yeah, I decided to, I couldn't get enough of Fernando. I keep seeing him every day. He finally won me over. We got a podcast together. We see each other at work. So I decided, the commissioner of my league, to extend an invitation to Fernando. I think he earned it. The best thing about this is kind of, it's virtual, so I want to deal with him all the time. But I know Fernando is a good football mind. So, okay, let's get an extra challenge in the league. And Fernando, you took part in my draft. You could go ahead and say that it was kind of you can say that I got the first pick. I'll say that, and it was
first
kind of
and the commissioner, and I get the last pick. Yeah,
and I guess I'll add to it, was kind of a circus because I had the draft at 8:00, and for some reason the randomized order wasn't working, so we had to wait till 10:00. But I got to watch a Jake Paul fight, and so I don't know if you would call it a rig. I paused it on purpose, but sorry about that. Thank you for waiting and drafting at 10 p.m.
Bro, of course. And it was funny because I took Dan and Dago and my little sister over to yesterday. And I want to give a big shout out to my godson, my little cousin, Daniel Blair. He turned 17. He turned 17 the day that this podcast is being released. So congratulations to him. Shout out to him. Good kid, straight A student, gets way better grades than I ever did. It's funny, Gilbert, because ever since a young age, since he was 10 years old, I would start, he'd come over to the house and I'd show him, I'd be like, oh, here, we'll watch movies. And he'd be like, no, I want those movies that you and Daniel watch. And I'd be like, okay. So American Pie, all these movies, we would show him and he'd get a kick out of them. And recently, I think he was 15. My uncle's like, oh, he actually watched his first rated R movie. My mom spoils it and goes, Daniel, my kids have been showing your kid rated R movies for years now. And then he's like, oh, really? So it was pretty funny. So yeah, we threw him a surprise birthday party. His girlfriend came over before he did, so had her hide behind the grill. She jumped up out of nowhere and surprised him. So it was a good day. Dropped him off at his house later, took them to In-N-Out, and I was drafting while driving. So I was driving to In-N-Out, driving In-N-Out and drafting at the same time, Gilbert. So I should be in the decathlon or the triathlete. I should take on Bruce Jenner's medal, because look at that. I was doing 3 things at the same time.
Well, nice Olympics reference. Where was that a month ago when I was talking about the Olympics? Fernando, you did not care one bit about the track and field.
Without fans, it's whatever. And then no Usain Bolt, that's swimming. I used to love swimming when Michael Phelps was there. Now it's boring. When Usain Bolt was racing, loved. Now it's boring. I need to find new stars
whatever. We'll disagree there, but I'll say happy birthday to little Daniel. He is a supporter of the show. And what is it with your family and the name Daniel? There's a bunch of you guys there.
It's 3.
That's a lot to me. Well, I guess I shouldn't talk because Gilberto is a name that's been passed down generation after generation in my family. So I'm like Gilberto the 4th. So forget I said that. Dan and Dago, forget I said that. Cool name.
Are you gonna get
No, I think it's gonna end with me. I don't know. We'll see.
Wait, so what's funny is that Gilbert, you surprised me yesterday in the draft. You did not go. I thought you were going to go Christian McCaffrey with the first overall pick.
Everybody says that.
Cook. What was the reasoning behind that?
I don't know. CMC is coming off an injury. I do not trust that Panthers offensive line. I don't know what you're going to get out of Sam Darnold. I know CMC is a do-it-all machine. Maybe that's something that's a good thing, where you're kind of just like the number one option in your team, and you're carrying them on your back. But if you don't got a good blocking, your quarterback is kind of suspect, and then you came off an injury, that kind of scares me. I get you're gonna get fed all day, but with Dalvin Cook, he has his fair share of injuries himself. But I think the Vikings love to be old school ground and pound, and Derwin can also contribute in the passing game. So I went that way. I know a little bit of surprise. So our person who in our draft who got second was probably very pleased and surprised to get Christian McCaffrey number 2.
Gilbert, did you see my team?
I forget who was the first pick. Was it?
My first pick was Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I saw that. That's another injury concern, and
it's not. I know Saquon's going to be back. I know he's
all right,
100%. But you know what? I kind of like being the last pick because you get a double up.
Mm-hmm.
So I got him and I got Devontae Adams.
That's a good one.
I was like, okay, that's a double. So this is my team real quick. Lamar Jackson at quarterback, Saquon Barkley at running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back, Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, George Kittle at tight end, Miles Sanders, running back for the Eagles, Robbie Anderson at receiver from the Carolina Panthers, Daniel Carlson, the kicker from the Raiders, Broncos defense. And then this is funny. With my last pick, I took Trey Lance at quarterback.
I saw that.
So
yeah.
I'm like, you never know what's going to happen. My other backup quarterback is Russell Wilson.
Oh.
And I got James Conner, running back for the Arizona Cardinals. I thought maybe he'll give you something. Jamar Chase, receiver. Corey Davis, receiver from the Jets. And then Dolphins defense to finish it off.
I'm not going to lie. I do like your team. You're very balanced. You got star players at every position. You got Russell Wilson, George Kittle. If Barkley's healthy, you're set there for sure. And then you got Devontae Adams. So you're pretty good. But I won't say it's better than my team. I have stars, breakout stars, MVP candidates, a good defense, a good kicker.
No, what was your team name?
No, I was actually. You know what, Fernando? I'm such a terrible commissioner. I didn't tell you about the theme of our league. It's crime movies or mob movies. It's Italian. So go and change your team name. What is mine? Oh, I did Got Yourself a Cook, kind of like the intro to Sopranos. It's Got Yourself a Gun. So I kind of a little tweak, whatever.
Wow, that's a good one. So you have Josh Allen, Dalvin Cook. Ooh, you have Gibson.
Yeah, surprise.
That's a good one. DeAndre Hopkins, not bad. Allen Robinson. Oh, I was so pissed. I was gonna take Kyle Pitts when I came back around.
Well, you got Kittle already. What do you want to tight end?
Bro, you never know. James Robinson, running back for Jacksonville. Jacksonville scares me.
I know, but I need a running back there.
Yeah. Chase
and he's number 1. Yeah, Claypool's
Younghoe Koo, Steelers defense, not bad.
Younghoe Koo, former Charger.
Yeah, Dak Prescott, Jamal Williams from the Detroit Lions, Devonta Smith, Cortland Sutton, Jonnu Smith, and Patriots defense.
Yeah, it's not a bad one.
That's a good team.
I'm a little worried about my running back depth. If I have an injury, I'm kind of, not doing well. But overall,
Anthony's gonna be he's gonna pound ground and pound, so that'll be pretty good.
All right, but it's kind of a fun draft, Fernando. I'm glad you got to participate from San Diego and join in this year.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, it's funny. I think you're gonna get a lot of hate, Gilbert, and it is because you said suspect quarterback for the Panthers. That suspect quarterback happens to be from USC. You live in Los Angeles. I think I'm putting a lot of.
I think people know that.
But yeah, it was a fun draft. I appreciate you letting me in. That was a lot of fun. But now let's switch gears a little bit. And obviously, it is Monday, 12 p.m. And a lot of teams are starting to make moves, except for one team. The Chargers have been very quiet so far on this front. Any thoughts on the potential 53-man roster?
Yeah, I know, Fernando, you're banking off this team's history of kind of waiting to the last minute to submit their final roster. But I'm just kind of getting word that we're recording right now Monday afternoon, and by the time we get off, our stream, a bunch of things are going to happen. You won't be able to talk about it. So we had this in our production meeting to talk about the Chargers roster, but so far nothing. And I guess I'm not surprised that it's typical Tom Telesco waiting to the last minute and making sure you look under every rock and making sure you're not letting anybody slip by, or because these are tough decisions, man, right now. And a lot of these players play really well in training camp, and maybe they just don't fit because there's a lot of depth at position. Like, for me, I keep looking at defensive tackle. Like, I really like what Braden Feoco and Forrest Merrill did, but it's going to be tough. I know the other beat reporters and yourself have Braden Feoco, but he was great, and he was great on special teams. So we'll see if he gets in. Obviously, the kickers it's going to be very intriguing as well. Tristan or Michael, I feel like I keep talking about that. I think we're all kind of already assuming it's going to be 3 quarterbacks, Easton and Chase. I was going to say, Fernando, that was my transition for you. You don't see that happening, and I guess you're not really taking Tom Telesco's interview seriously.
I mean, I've been around him for years, and I may be wrong, but sometimes when Tom says something, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I buy it. So I just think that this team, like you said, they have so many needs that, not needs, but like they have so many areas where they need players, and it's like, are you really going to risk having Easton Stick on the roster to not keep Braden Feoco or not keep a Ryan Smith, or you know what I mean? Like, or like that extra receiver, like stuff like that, or maybe Steven Anderson stays because of it. So I mean, that's my thing, and I feel like this year the Chargers roster is a lot better than it has been, and I even think this roster is better than the 12-4 roster from from 2018. Well, I mean, I look at the quarterback, and I think the quarterback situation is a lot better than it was back then.
True.
I look at running back. I think, well, they had Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon actually had a very good year that year. But then Keenan's gotten better. Mike has improved. They have Joey. They have Derwin. They're going to have a lot of pieces. And I feel like, and like I told you on Saturday night when we did the podcast, I think the Chargers are gonna be a waiver wire team. I think they're gonna look at it. They're gonna maybe get 1 or 2 guys. Was it last year or the year before? There was one year where they got like 4 guys off of the waiver wire.
What was it, 2 years ago? I forget.
2 years ago, they got like 4 or 5 guys off of it.
Yeah, but I don't know. The thing with this year, like the practice squad is still very, it's expanded. You could bring guys up and down easily because of the whole COVID protocol. So I don't know if I see him going, Tom Telesco going heavy on the wire because all the flexibility on the practice squad. But who knows? We'll see. There's still a lot of unknown, like we mentioned, at kicker, backup tackle. We'll see. But I knowing Tom, I feel like he usually goes with his guys.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's, well, no, I shouldn't. That's just honestly the interesting part about it. I mean, there's a huge question at tackle, even if it's swing tackle or right tackle, because man, I mean, we've said it at Brian Bulaga, there is concern there when it comes to him playing this season. The Chargers have done everything. I mean, honestly, kudos to Brandon Staley and his staff. They've done everything correct, everything humanly possible to let Brian Bulaga rest as much as he can, but then at the same time be able to practice and do as much as he can. So now it's on Brian. Can Brian's body hold up this season? That's going to be interesting. But then that's going to be the question. If he goes out, and you've noticed that Gilbert, the last 2 preseason games, they've had Trey at left tackle. No, in this game, this weekend, they had Trey at left tackle and they had Storm at right. So that to me was very interesting just to see, like, maybe they're trying to see, hey, can Storm handle right?
Yeah. I feel like Trey's been playing both spots in preseason, right?
Yeah. To me, I don't think either guy can handle either spot. I think you're going up against 2 3s and even 4s, and you're getting beat at times. What's going to happen if it's Chase Young on the other side of you? Like, what's going to happen there? Like, Chase Young's going to, like, eat these dudes up for dinner, literally. So, well, it'll be about brunch, so he'll eat them up for brunch around the time that these guys play. But there is some concern there. I think the Chargers really need to look and see if there's any other way they can find a more suitable tackle. Or I just think that Trey Pipkins, you kind of seen, like, there's no more developing. He's in year about to be 3. Supposedly they've been working with him all these years, and they think that they've said that his development is going great, but I don't see a huge difference from the kid that came in from Sioux Falls to now. Like, there's a little bit. I mean, he uses his hands a little bit better, but his feet are still cement blocks. And I don't know. I just think that they really need to analyze and say what's best for the Chargers team. That's what they always say. They say what we're gonna do what's best for the Chargers. If Trey Pipkin, I'm just saying if Trey does get cut loose, then I'll be like, oh, okay, cool. But I don't know. There's a lot of questions I have.
Yeah, no, I really don't see it, and I really wish that this podcast was happening, Tuesday when everything came out, so we could kind of really break it down. But
Gilbert, don't give away stuff to the fans. Who knows? Maybe we could do a quick one. You never know.
Well, actually, that's a good opportunity to plug our post game episodes that we've done, and a lot of. I was gonna say, yeah, a lot of the stuff we've been talking about was on the episode. I feel like I've been repeating myself, so make sure to check that out. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, we're all over, man.
So we have do you want to just announce it now so that we tell people? You want to do it?
Yeah, we're moving dates. Is that what it is?
Yep. So Gilbert and I and Dan and Dago, we've all been talking about what's best for you guys and how we could bring the best content to you guys. So we want to announce that this season we'll be switching days for when Compas comes out. Compas will now be coming out on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. It'll be coming out Wednesday mornings, the way we've been doing it regularly. We will also be doing a separate podcast, just audio, pre-game matchup show where we'll talk to another journalist who covers like Washington. We're getting a throwback Gilbert. Hopefully, so definitely, hopefully, we'll be able to get this guest on. We'll be talking to them. We'll break down the team, what they see from Washington football team, what we see from the Chargers, and kind of analyze it and put together the podcast. Then we'll be doing post game reactions as well for you guys. So Sunday nights, you should expect a podcast, or if you guys go to bed early, Monday morning. We will be doing recaps. So you're going to be getting Compas 3 days a week. So Gilbert isn't only going to have to deal with me, isn't the only one that's going to have to be dealing with me 3 to 4 times a week. You guys as well. So we'll definitely be doing a little bit more Compas. We're going to try and bring you guys everything. We're definitely excited about the next phase in Compas. But yeah, we want to give you guys the best stuff we have, and hopefully you guys will continue rocking with us because we love doing this stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely. We're gonna add those 2 audio versions, the pregame episode of the Chargers game and the postgame of the Chargers game. And the plan is, to go to Wednesday because our days off as beat reporters are usually Tuesday, so it's gonna be very hard to do recordings on Mondays and release on Tuesday morning. But Fernando, you're forgetting one of the bigger news is that for next week, Tuesday, the opening officially of week 1, we're going to try something now where we're going to be live on Tuesday evening, and because we're going to have a big time NFL season 2021 season preview episode. We're going to have a lot of guests come on and help us break down the 2021 NFL season, and we're thinking about releasing that live on our Twitter and our YouTube Tuesday evening, and see how that kind of works out. If you guys kind of like that format, maybe we'll start doing that more. But we'll try it out for at least week 1, like kind of a Tuesday primetime show. It'll be still available for everybody on Wednesday, like we kind of done on Tuesdays. We're going to try it out one week to see if people like this primetime Compas around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, release the season preview. But it'll be all ready for sure, done already by Wednesday.
Bro, I didn't want to give everything away. I mean, I was going to let you have.
You got to tease it. Me? Okay, yeah, okay.
I
yeah, no.
Do something too.
No, I'm very excited for this season preview episode. You've been hearing me talk about it, like all these crazy ideas in my head. I guess I would kind of give a little way more. It's kind of like I was telling you about my fantasy theme. The theme of this season preview is a virtual carne asada with the compas. So we're having a lot of our friends come through and break down the NFL season preview. I wish we had real food for our guests, our invitados. You know how they always say, you're invited to carne asada. These are people we really want to come over. And it's just kind of a fun time. It's going to be a long show, but there's 32 teams we want to break down and make sure you get the best preview in all of the podcast land here on Compas on the Beat.
Because you're family.
Yeah, there you go, Vin Diesel.
Yeah, so we're excited, guys. We're You may see a little bit. You're going to get more Compas. You're going to get more Dan and Dago because people have been clamoring for that. Gilbert, I've seen people want more Dan and Dago, so we'll give them a little something more. But we're definitely excited about this. But now let's transition, Gilbert, to like you said before, you got to watch Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley. I didn't get to watch it. I'm not as privileged as you are, Gilbert, to be able to watch that kind of stuff. How was it?
In my defense, as a boxing old school purist, I didn't pay for this pay-per-view. My roommate did. It was just on the TV while we were doing our fantasy football draft. So I was intrigued. And of course, it was a coincidence. My draft, the system we're using wasn't working. So we got to watch the actual fight. We paused, and I got to watch Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley go at it. I'm a little mixed feelings for me. I feel a little dirty watching it because, I get it. I've been on this show saying boxing needs to be up to date, get younger audience because there's a bunch of old people watching boxing. I'll include myself in there. I love boxing as an older person, but the younger crowd, the crowd that I'm hanging out with on TikTok and my a lot of followers there, they're not really into boxing. And then you look at the crowd yesterday at the Jake Paul fight, there's a bunch of young kids in sunglasses, which is kind of funny to me. There's a couple of fights in there too with these little teenagers. Yeah, pretty much. And it was kind of a unique experience, but I don't know. I part of me wants a Jake Paul experience to end, but I got to get him credit yesterday. Okay, Tyron Woodley is not a trained boxer. He is an MMA fighter, an older MMA fighter, but he does have some power on his punches. He had some pop in the UFC, so it was a nice little test for Jake Paul. And Tyron Woodley landed the bigger, powerful shots. That he kind of at one point had him go through the ropes, like in the fourth round. But he wasn't active. He wasn't pushing the pace. People who watch boxing when they're drinking a bunch of Modelos and think they're their judges always go off harder punches. It's not the way you score a fight. It's round by round by round. And Jake Paul won most of the rounds. Yeah, he wasn't powerful. He didn't really stun Tyron Woodley, but he was more active. I was impressed with his cardio. I kept screaming at Tyron Woodley, go do something, knock this guy out, and he wouldn't do it. He kept thinking in his head that he was winning the fight. I am surprised that one judge gave it to Tyron Woodley. That's why it's a split decision. I did not see that. I thought Jake Paul won the fight. And Jake Paul, I'll give you credit. And Fernando's been pushing for you to come on Compas on the beat. So if I ever get a chance, being a boxing reporter, I'm going to push for Jake Paul because he's won me over. I'll give him credit. He is turning into a decent boxer, at least at an amateur level. I don't know how he's going to do if you fight a real boxer, which that could be the case for his next fight. He keeps going up. He's on Showtime Boxing. Keep going up and up and up, and I keep watching.
It's funny. I saw Conor McGregor tweet something out about the fight.
Yeah.
And I've seen other people tweet out something. I still think Conor and Jake are going to get it going just because, that's literally, I think their plan is to get one in Vegas. And I feel like they could, I think that if they put it at the Raiders Stadium, they totally could sell it out. If it was Jake Paul against Conor McGregor, I think they'd sell that thing out.
I think you're right.
Shout out also to Ariel Helwani, who he's a reporter. Hopefully we can get him on Compas on the beat one day, but he's a very good reporter. I don't know how he held his cool during the whole Tyron Woodley and Jake Paul post fight interview. Gilbert, please tell me he's not going to get the tattoo.
Yeah, that was the funniest thing. I thought that was already part of the deal. Whoever loses the fight gets a tattoo. So I thought Tyron was already getting the tattoo, but Tyron really wants a rematch. He felt like I don't blame the guy. He left a lot of punches out there he could have thrown. Why now are you living in regret? You should have gone and knock him out, and now you have to get a tattoo to get this rematch. So hey, if Tyron really gets a tattoo, what is it? I love Jake Paul. Then the guy deserves a rematch. I don't know if I want to watch it because I don't think Tyron is good enough for me to beat a bigger Jake Paul. Jake Paul, you forget he's a big body, and they were fighting at cruiserweight, 200 pounds yesterday. So again, I was impressed with the cardio, but Jake Paul. But yeah, if Tyron really wants the tattoo, and say he does get the tattoo, think about it as a $2 million tattoo. It's gonna be a nice payday if you get a rematch. So hey, when you get a tattoo that says "I love Jake Paul" for $2 million, Fernando.
I don't know.
See?
I don't know. What's funny is that that post-fight interview made me laugh also because Jake and Tyron are obviously they're going back and forth, and then you see Logan Paul over his shoulder, and Logan's like, it's funny because that's kind of how Dan and Dago and I would be like. I'd be behind being like, ooh, like doing dumb stuff and everything like that. So that was pretty funny. And then he's like, step down, Logan. You don't want it. I'm like, ooh. I'm like, so Gilbert, just, I mean, your assessment, do you think Jake is a better boxer than Logan is?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think Logan knows it too. That his little brother Jake is the better boxer. Logan has a big name. That's how he got Floyd Mayweather, but he didn't show me much against Mayweather. Like he's such a smaller guy, and that you're being the bigger guy, you didn't really do much. His cardio was pretty bad, I thought. Jake Paul actually showed me something yesterday. He tried throwing a couple combinations. He still kind of throws really wide. If he fights a real boxer, you get caught with a hook, counter hook, and you're done.
Canelo would have knocked him out.
Oh, definitely. Like, but that's not in the like. I'm trying to think about it as like realistically. Like, you're not nowhere near a Canelo level. Like, you need to fight like a boxer. Like, I shouldn't even say that, but like, I don't want Chavez Jr. to fight anymore because he's just been taking people's money. But that somebody of that caliber would be a good fight for Jake Paul to start against a boxer. I'll say that.
Interesting. Well, Gilbert, enough boxing. We have a big time main event guest coming up. Speaking of boxing, folks, we got Jim Trotter from the NFL Network, who's honestly, I remember reading his great work with the Union Tribune when I was growing up, and my grandpa and I would read the newspaper in the morning and everything. And I remember reading all of his Charger stuff. I'm excited about this next guest, Gilbert. So let's get it.
This next grand guest is one of the best reporters in the NFL. You know what? Scratch that. He's at the top, just like his San Francisco Giants in the baseball standings. He's done it all, from covering the Chargers at the San Diego Union Tribune to covering the NFL for ESPN, Sports Illustrated, and now he's doing great and big things at NFL Network. That is, of course, the great Jim Trotter. Jim, can I keep going with this introduction? You're also a proud Howard University alum, but how are you?
Man, I don't have any money left in my bank account to pay you for this. So, enough with the superlatives. I appreciate it, but man, I think you overhyped me a little bit. So I think what do we talk about? Coaches always talk about, undersell and over deliver. So I kind of like that.
No, Jim, you're always delivering. You're the right man to have this proper introduction. And speaking of Howard University, Jim, Fernando and I are going to be in the DC area in a couple of weeks for the Chargers Washington football team opener week 1. We got to ask you, any recommendations for food places out there in the DC area for us?
Dude, I haven't been back in a while, but I'm going to tell you, every Friday we used to eat at a place called Florida Avenue Grill. And we would have the fried catfish, macaroni and cheese. And you knew it was a soul food place because they made the Kool-Aid where they literally had this huge barrel. I mean, it wasn't even a bucket. It was like a barrel. And they'd have the Kool-Aid in there and then take sugar and just pour these huge bags in it. So, like, if you're diabetic, you don't want to have that. And they just mix it like with one of those big paddles. And but every Friday, that's where the sports information director, Ed Hill's a friend of mine, we would go there to eat. So really, as a struggling student, that's all I could really afford. So I can't give you guys any of the highbrow places to go eat. I would be at Florida Avenue Grill, or I know the tourist spot is I think Ben's Chili, which I don't think I've ever eaten at, but Obama was there and whatnot. But yeah, for me, in terms of when I wasn't cooking for myself, it was Fridays at Florida Avenue Grill.
Wow, you know what? I want to check it out, Fernando. That sounds good to me. I got no problem with Kool-Aid. It's been a minute since I had Kool-Aid, but I grew up on it. Soul food is always good for me. So, Jim, thank you for that recommendation.
Bro, I hope it's still there. I came out in 86, so do the math for me. What is that, like 35 years or something?
Only only 15 years have passed by, Jim.
Not that long ago.
I feel you.
But Jim, before we get to know you a little better, I wanted to ask you about your stop at Chargers training camp. I saw you out there. You and Fernando got to catch up a little bit, and I read your great story on Derwin James. But what's kind of your biggest takeaway for being at Chargers training camp? And how was it talking to Derwin? Because every time I talk to him, and Fernando does as well, he's just excited to come back and play football after missing all of last year.
Yeah, I think you're right about him. Derwin is one of these unique and special individuals, in my opinion, who just have this infectious personality. And you can tell that the love that they have for what they do is genuine. You know, it's not manufactured. As I wrote, he's not out there because of what the game can do for him. He's out there because he loves the game. He's one of those players, and obviously he would never do it, and I wouldn't expect him to. But, you know, you say they would play it for free because they love it so much. And so that struck me about him. I had never really met him, spent any time with him before prior to that, but kind of felt like an old friend. And, you know, I mentioned in a tweet that when I got there, some of the longtime Charger employees told me that this kid he's the first leader on defense who is actually the leader of the team, who has the respect of everybody, you know, regardless of what side of the ball you're on, etc. The first since Junior Seau, which is a tremendous compliment, as you guys know. And when I talked to him, I could see he said that, and hear the stories about how he would hold people accountable, his teammates accountable. That spoke to it even more. So I'm excited to see what he can do. You know, in my mind, he reminds me from a physical, even though he's not quite athletic, but just from a physical and the athleticism and the physicality of a Sean Taylor, who there aren't many players that I would compare to Sean. I think Derwin has that ability.
You grew close to Junior Seau. During your time covering the team, and you even wrote a book about him after his tragic passing. What did Junior mean to you, and what did he mean to the city of San Diego?
Oh, man. It would take your whole show for me to say what he meant for me. He meant everything. I tell this story that I would not be in the position I am today without him, because it was not – I know people think that because we were close that he gave me all sorts of information. He never did. That wasn't Junior. He was not one of those guys who would rat out teammates or whatever. He protected the team at all times. What he did for me is I had never covered a professional locker room before on a daily basis. And what he did is he helped me understand the culture of a locker room. He helped me understand the culture of the NFL. So whenever I had questions about certain things, I could go to him and ask him about it. I'll give you, for instance, I'm early there as a beat writer, and we're in training camp, and the Chargers had spent a ton of money on this cornerback, trying to upgrade their pass defense. So we get to training camp, and this cornerback is awful. I mean, he's being beaten by all sorts of guys, including people who aren't even going to make the team. And so I'm thinking, okay, I got to get ready to write a story saying this guy's a bust. And so I go to talk to Junior, who's obviously the leader of the defense, leader of the team. And what he said to me is, pump the brakes. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, you have to understand veteran players use training camp to work on their weaknesses, not their strengths. They want to try and prepare themselves for the regular season. Well, lo and behold, this cornerback goes out and leads the NFL in interceptions that year. It was Ryan McNeil. So imagine if I had just gone ahead and written that story, how foolish I would have looked, not only to the public, but also within that locker room where you lose credibility when you do things like that. So it was things like that that Junior really helped me with in terms of understanding how to be a beat writer, how to understand what athletes are thinking, sometimes how to approach them. And we had, you know, we butted heads a couple of times, but ultimately we always came back to a meeting of the minds. But what's interesting is the first time he had that press conference about retiring, and he ultimately came back to play for the Patriots. After that press conference, he says, hey, some of us are going to meet at the restaurant tonight. He said, why don't you come by? So I said, okay. So I come by, and we're all seated outside. I'm going to guess there's maybe 8 of us. There's one of his physical therapists. There's me. There's people from his foundation. There are all these different people. And what was cool about it was everybody went around the table, and it wasn't planned or anything like that. And we just started talking about the impact that he had on our careers and our lives while he's sitting there. And so it was pretty cool to be able to give a guy his flowers while he's alive, to understand the impact that he had on so many people, because that was the thing about Junior, man. You know, like I say, he and Derwin James have that thing where when you meet them for the first time, they can make you feel like, you know, you've been friends forever. And he truly, for all of the demons that he was dealing with, he truly tried to help other people and to make their lives better. And so for that, like I say, I'll forever be indebted to him. And I always say that I would not be in this position were it not for the help that he gave me.
Wow, what a story, Jim, and giving us memories of Junior Seau, and just so cool that he kind of was helping you along the way as a journalist. And it's kind of funny. It reminds me a little bit of when I spoke to Derwin James recently, and he was really happy to talk to me. And I asked him, like, Derwin, last time I was asking about a bunch of injuries, you kind of seemed fed up about the injury question. He's like, no, I know you have a job to do. People want to know about my comeback, and that's okay. We're going to take care of you guys. So to kind of see those stories compared to Derwin was pretty cool for me right now thinking about that. But Jim, also having you on the show, thank you for coming on. But also I've been wanting to thank you because every time I see you on Twitter, you're pushing for diversity on the NFL, diversity in sports reporters, people who look like me and Fernando and yourself. But I feel like for a long time for me, I couldn't be comfortable, I guess on Twitter or in my writing, because we don't have the same advantages as other writers, being minorities. I guess for you, what did you kind of feel? When did you feel comfortable speaking out, and why did you decide to do that and be so outspoken about this topic?
Well, truthfully, I think when you go to an historically Black college and university, and I went to Howard, there are certain things that are sort of ingrained in you about where you fit in all of this and what some of your responsibilities are in all of this, in terms of the fight for equity and equality and whatnot. And that said, you still have to get to a point where you feel comfortable doing it publicly, knowing what you're dealing with. You're stepping into newsrooms. Like when I was at the San Diego Union, there was never, in my 18 years there was never another Black who worked in the sports department, or sports writer, I should say, so, it can be seen as a lonely place. And you can feel like that there are people who aren't going to feel the same things that you feel. But I can honestly say to you where it really hit me, where I made a conscious decision of, you know what, I'm going to speak out on this at every opportunity I get, was truly after Colin Kaepernick took a knee. And I saw the way that people were twisting his message. And I saw the way that there were folks who didn't want to recognize what he was saying. And I just felt at that point, for whatever reason, that number one, I had paid my dues enough to be in a position to speak on it. I wasn't a young writer who had to be fearful of being fired and not getting another job. I felt like if I got fired for it, that I would find another job somewhere. I had put in enough work. So I felt comfortable that way. And then two, when I talked to particularly coaches, and you see this sense of hopelessness in them, it was like, wow, this is powerful. Grown men who feel like, there's no hope for them to achieve the dreams that they have simply because of the color of their skin. It was like somebody's got to speak for them, and I just felt that at that point, I felt that I had rediscovered what my purpose was and what my passion was in this business, and however many years I have left. And that was to be a voice for the voiceless. And I've tried to do that. And there are some who don't like it and always say, why do you always talk about race and whatnot? And my point was, I don't want to. And my hope is that we get to a point that I don't have to. But we're not at that point. And you can't look at the data and say that we're at that point. So I think Colin taking a knee kind of, at least for me, it kind of reawakened something in me and said, you have a larger responsibility. And if he could put his career on the line to do what he did, then the very least all of us could do is try and speak out on these issues that should be spoken about.
Yeah, no, well said, Jim. And again, I know you're using your platform to push for this, diversity. And I know it's still a long way to go, but to see you on NFL Network and just talking about it and getting people to get used to the conversation, or at least be comfortable talking about it, I think goes a long way. And like you mentioned, Jim, you've been around this business, and people know who you are. But for you, going through ESPN, SI, NFL Network, all these big major media outlets, I guess what's kind of your biggest takeaway or biggest thing you've learned working for these big media outlets that, for journalists on their path, trying to get to a point where you are?
Oh man, that's a question that could take all day. But for the most part, I mean, and I'm going to be frank here, there really isn't a lot of difference other than the name that's on the check. We all do the same work. You got to have a work ethic. That's what this business is about first and foremost. If you're not willing to work hard, you're not going to make it. You have to be able to build relationships, which means you have to be trustworthy to the people that you cover and whatnot. And it doesn't mean that you agree on everything, but it means that they know. Like I pride myself on never being one of these ambush journalists. If I was going to say something negative or be critical of you, I'm going to come to you first and ask you about it and give you an opportunity to address it. So I always consider that even if they didn't like it, I would hope that they would respect that. But throughout all of these, it's simply doing the work. I mean, there are people who are at newspapers who could have my job and do it, I think, as well as I do it. The one thing I leave with students now that I talk to and whatnot is the business has changed from when I first got into it. When I first got into it, I do believe that it was more about the journalism. And many of the newspapers were family owned, that sort of thing. And now newspapers are owned, many of them by hedge funds and whatnot. And it's about the bottom line more than the journalism. And that being said, that means that there are a lot of quality journalists at times who are out on the street through no fault of their own, only because whoever owns that media outlet feels like their profit margins aren't what they want it to be. And that's infuriating, frustrating, disappointing, all those things. So the one thing I always try and impart to young journalists, I tell them those things, not because I don't want them to go into the business, but because if they're going to come into the business, I want them to do it with all the information that they can have. I want them to be able to make informed decisions about what they do. And one of the other things I always say to them is have a plan B. Always have an off front. I don't care if you're at NFL Network or you're at ESPN or you're at SI or the Orange County Register. Always have a plan B, because in today's climate, you could be laid off in a moment with no forewarning. And what are you going to do then? Here's a true story. I've only been laid off once in my life, and that was in Sports Illustrated. And for months, it had been having buyouts and layoffs because they were going to have an IPO. They were going to take the magazine public. So I'm in New York for the Super Bowl, and another email comes out saying they're going to have another round of buyouts and layoffs. So I go to my supervisor, and he basically says, you're okay. Don't worry about that. You cover the NFL, the number one beat on the paper, kind of bare bones. You're okay. So I'm like, okay. So what is that? The first week in February? Well, come March, I'm driving to the dentist. I'm pulling up to park and get a call from the office from the head guy. And I'm thinking we're getting ready to talk about a story or something, answer the phone. And the first thing I get is, hey, I got some bad news for you. And, we're going to have to lay you off. And it has nothing to do with performance or production. It's simply, in essence, you make too much money and we can hire two people for one. So all of a sudden I'm sitting there like, I didn't have a plan B. I never even thought seriously, once I was told I was okay, that I need to look for another job. But there I was, like other really talented people that I know who had found themselves in that position. So that's why I say to young people, and even older ones, if they haven't thought about it, always have yourself a plan B.
Yeah, no, and you know what, Gilbert? I was one of those kids that he told always have a plan B. In San Diego, to me, Jim Trotter was wow. So anytime he would speak, I would always go to events and stuff like that. And I remember you said that, and thanks to that, I got my master's in sports management. Because like you said, you never know what could happen. So because of that, and I've always thought about that, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go get my master's. And I got it at the University of San Francisco in sports management. Because like you said, you never know what happens. So I thank you for that, for telling me that when I was younger, and that really, it hit home 100%.
Oh, cool. You're in a great situation, man. I thought about recently going back trying to get my master's, but I'm so old now. I'm not sure that I could go through with it.
Well, I mean, the USF program is pretty good, and they have a branch out in Orange County. That's how I got mine. It's once a week, so it wasn't that bad. But speaking of school and going back to school and all that, you sent out a tweet recently that you were going back to school for the first time in 35 years, but
Yeah,
this time as a professor. Can
yeah.
you tell us about that? And look at that smile on your face. You seem excited about it.
I honestly am. I mean, it's funny. After first of all, it's at San Diego State.
Yeah.
And teaching a sports journalism class for upper division students. And it was funny, after the first class, a couple of the students came up to me and said, man, you don't know how excited we are about this class. And I said to them, you know, I got to be honest with you. I'm more excited than you are. I said, because what happens is when you're in this business long enough, sometimes, I'm not going to say you get on cruise control, but you sometimes forget about, I don't even want to say forget, but you become a little numb and forget, there's that word again, about why you got into it and how you felt when you got into it, you know, doing something that you had dreamed about as a child, being able to do it. And I told him, I said, you know, I'm more excited than you all are, because what you all do is you invigorate me. You know, you've brought enthusiasm back to me in terms of me trying to help you succeed in this business. Because the one thing I want out of this class is that, one, that these students get a lot of practical experience. So we're going to do a lot of writing on deadline. And I'm not interested in a lot of book theory and all that. They can get that in other classes. I want to really deal with things that you're going to face when you get out there. How do you go about constructing your story? What's your thought process? How do you handle yourself if you're in certain situations? You know, and so we're going to go over all that sort of stuff, from the most basic things like that sometimes you don't even think about. To give you, for instance, let's say you get hired at a newspaper, your first job, you're going to be a prep writer, but you've never covered a prep event. So let's say you had been covering events at your college where they give you play-by-play and they give you stats. Well, if they send you out to a game on a Friday night, what's your play-by-play look like? What do your stats look like? What's the first thing you do when you get that assignment? For me, and I tell them my experience, first thing I do, or I did back then, is you find out who the teams are you're covering. You make your calls in terms of talking to the coach or whoever, do some interviews about the trends and who's doing what and who to watch and all that sort of stuff. But then what I do is I before the game, the day before, whatever, I drive out to the school to make sure I know how to get there. Because this was back in the day where they didn't have GPS on phones. We literally had to print out directions and read them as we're going. Or we had to use a Thomas Brothers, which you young people know nothing about, I'm sure.
I know MapQuest.
You know, yeah, exactly. See, but we didn't have that. But so I would drive to the event, and then I would want to find out, okay, if it's a big game, that means there's going to be traffic. How early do I have to leave to make sure I get there on time? Am I allowed to be on the sideline, or do I need to be in the press box? Who do I need to contact to make sure I know where I can be? Is there a hot spot where I can file my story after the game? All those sorts of little things that you may not think about, that if you show up there without having gone through some of that in your own mind, man, you're going to be in trouble. Particularly you're writing on deadline on a Friday night. So it's just little things like that we start with and work our way up to say, these are some of the things you're going to have to deal with. And I can't begin to tell you truly how excited I am about this class. And I'm hoping I have a positive impact on these students by the time they leave. I know they're going to have a positive impact on me, and it makes me better because I have to think. You know, I have to go through all of this stuff in my head again that I'm doing. And I'm excited, man. I can't say that enough. I'm excited. I find even in my free time now, I'm going back reading journalism books and putting together, you know, classwork and things that I want to touch on to make sure I don't forget. with them. So it's going to be cool.
No,
The one thing that I don't disappointed about is that there's only one female in the class. And again, referring to the need for diversity, I feel we need more women in sports, sports writing, sports broadcasting. So I'm disappointed that there's only one, and I'm disappointed that there are no blacks in the class. But my hope is that, this class will do well enough that as we go forward, we'll get more of them in there, because I do believe, as we were talking about earlier, that there is a need for greater diversity among our peers.
Well, I know 100% you're going to impact those kids, because like I told you, I would always try and find events that you were speaking at, and I was impacted when I was going through school. So 100% I know these kids are in the right hands, and you're going to give them the best information possible. I tried to apply at SDSU. They denied me, so I wasn't able to take your class. I wish I could have. That would have been a lot of fun. I don't know if you'd like me, though. I was the class clown, so I'd always be making jokes, and I don't think you would have liked that.
No,
So,
as long as you did the work, we'd have been fine.
I no doubt about it. But I have to ask you the hardest question you're gonna ever get asked in an interview, and that is best taco shop in San Diego.
For me, it's TJ Oyster Bar.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Yeah, down in the South Bay, they have smoked tuna tacos.
Oh, those are good.
Yeah, and a friend of mine is the one who took me there. And I've been hooked ever since. So, the funny thing is, like, I'll have friends come to town and whatnot. They'll be like, where should I go eat? Where should I go eat? And I'm like, I honestly don't know, because, we travel so much.
Yeah.
When I get home, I just want a home cooked meal.
Yeah.
I don't go out and eat, So for me to get to TJ Oyster Bar, for instance, it's because a friend, after we played golf, was like, let's go have lunch. And he took me there. And that's how I found out about it. That and Hector's Morisco.
Oh, that's another good one.
That's another one that I enjoy. But short of those two, I don't go out to eat much when I'm in San Diego. I'm always that guy who's asking people in other cities, where should I go?
Yeah, no, that's that's awesome. I'm 100% with you. TJ Oyster Bar is just right down the street from me, so I've been telling Gilbert, when he comes down here, he needs to. I'm gonna have a lot of places for him to go out and eat.
I'm surprised he didn't ask you about the California burrito, Jim. He's asking everybody that comes on the show a Cali burrito.
Wait, say that again. Where is it?
Have you ever had the California burrito?
From where? Is that the name of the place?
Lolita's.
No, I've eaten at Lolita's, but I've never had the California burrito.
Oh my God, I need to get you on that. I'm gonna tell you now. It's a tortilla, French fries, cheese, carne asada, and guac.
See, you've already failed, because one, I don't eat guac.
Hey, I don't either.
I don't do sour cream.
You don't have to. You can ask for a plain.
See? And the other thing is, you got to understand, I just got off the Peloton bike about 34 minutes ago, man. So I'm trying to be good. So you're gonna get me in trouble with that.
Whenever I told Eric, I'm like, one day you, Jim, and I should go get a California burrito, because I don't think Eric Williams has had one either. So I told him, I'm like, if you ever want to go, we should all go get a California burrito, and that'd be a good time.
Just hit me up. I'm up for it.
There you go. Gilbert, you're gonna have to make a trip down.
Hey, let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. I'm there.
Yeah, there you go. We appreciate you taking the time and joining Compas on the Beat. Let me just tell you that the podcast that you and Steve Weish had, that inspired us to want to start our own podcast and start what we're doing. We're taking people through our experience and the way we see things and the way we've experienced everything. So we definitely appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for jumping on with us.
No, I think that's cool, man. Congrats to you two. It's I always say, look, you guys are like, you're unique. I was almost going to say you're snowflakes. There's no one else like you, but that snowflake has a bad connotation. So, but you two are unique. So always, and this is something I tell the students, you have to find your voice, and your voice is you. Be authentic. Don't try and be anyone else. You can respect and admire the work of other people, but be you. And ultimately, that's what's going to resonate with fans. So, or with the audience. So props to you both for doing it. I think that's cool. Actually, this is one of the more fun podcasts I've done, because we didn't have to sit and talk just NFL, and there, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that one of the ways that I'll tell you a story. This is another journalism story I told before we get out of here real quick.
Yeah.
There's something that I call pack journalism. And I asked them, do you know what that is? And many of them didn't. I said, what it is to me is where you see these groups of reporters that go from player to player to player or to coach all as one. And I said, to me, that's something very early on I learned I didn't want to do. What I try and do is let them all go do that. And then to try and find something fresh and different, I go and I talk to whoever by myself, whether it's an offensive lineman, a receiver, a defensive back, whoever. And when they're done with the star player or whatever, then I can circle back around and hopefully have a fresh conversation. And so that's what your show can do for you all in terms of you obviously see things from your own perspective, your unique perspective, and you're able to give that to your audience. And I would say do that. And it's no different from when you're out covering that team. Try and get away a little bit, try and do your one-on-one things. It's harder in this pandemic, that sort of thing, but have something fresh, because otherwise if people are getting the same thing from everybody, it's like, what distinguishes you?
Yeah.
And I always say to the class and the audience, that doesn't mean put out clickbait, and it doesn't mean put out hot takes, which I hate. It's just trying to find a unique story or a different way to tell the story that others are also telling. And that's what brings people to you and will keep them coming back. And your uniqueness is what will keep people coming back to you all.
Yeah, and that's what we tried to do last year, because it was hard during a pandemic year to do that. So when Justin Herbert had his first game, I reached out to his dad and wrote a story about how his dad and his mom found out. He's like, my wife was doing the dishes, and I yell, "Hey, he's going into the game!" And she like dropped a dish, ran in, and they watched him take on Kansas City. And then Gilbert reached out to how there was a narrative that supposedly Justin was standoffish and wasn't a leader. Well, he reached out to some of his teachers and asked, "Hey, is that true? Is he really like that?" And they're like, "No, he's just a different kind of human being." So that's what we tried to do last year. I think it really helped both of us see different angles, different things different ways to get stories. And that's really what it kind of helped do for both of us last year.
No, those are great ideas. I mean, it's not unlike, even with Derwin, not knowing much, everyone speaks in generalities. Okay, he's a great leader, he's a great player, he's like this. And what you try and do is get them to take you one step deeper. Like, okay, I need examples. I need I always say, put meat on the bone for me. So there was, I don't remember who told me about the incident on the field where they were short one defensive player and he kind of got on him, and to where I could go ask him about it. But it's things like that, or even Telesco, when I'm talking to him and he's giving me some examples and stuff like that, just try and go a little bit deeper beyond the surface, because the more detail you have, the more it separates you from everyone else. And sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. It's that simple. I was in Arizona a few weeks back and talking to JJ Watt, and he's talking about, how he went back to his trainer from his Defensive Player of the Year when he was winning Defensive Player of the Year awards and whatnot. And so it would have been easy just to write it up and say him talking about it and whatnot. And I'm like, well, let me check in with this trainer. So you call him, and all of a sudden he gives you another viewpoint on it, where he's talking about having to convince JJ Watt that he's not broken, which is a psychological thing, not a physical thing. So it gives you a deeper dive into what's really going on. So I always say this, and I remind myself of this for young journalists all the times. Sometimes you'll say, do I want to make that one extra call? And let's say you've already made 5 or whatever, and you think you got enough. Do I really want to make that one extra call? And invariably, it's that one extra call that ends up getting you something that makes your story unique or special from everyone else's. So don't take shortcuts, do it the right way. and everything else will take care of itself. And always have a plan B.
That is awesome wisdom from the great Jim Trotter. Thank you so much again for joining us. We're excited to have you, and thank you so much.
We're gonna stop with this great thing, man. We're gonna stop with this great thing. I'm gonna start having Brandon Staley or somebody fine you every time you.
I don't think I make as much as they do to get fined like that. So
that's all right. It'll be relative.
What did I tell you? That was a great interview with Jim Trotter. The Compas never disappoint. Now it's time for Una Más. By the way, we need a new sponsor for Una Más. So hit us up if you're interested. You know I'm the best damn promo reader in all of the podcasting universe. You can contact us via email, compasonthebeat@gmail.com. Now let's get to Una Más. I hear Fernando has a pretty good movie question for Hilberto. So let's get to Una Más, presented by nobody at the moment.
You guys heard it from Dan and Dago. If out there, sponsors, if you guys want the best damn promo reader out there to read your promo, so get with the Compas. We got some good stuff heading folks' way, so definitely let us know. But Gilbert, you know, we love Una Más. Una Más, we like to do fun stuff with Una Más.
Yes, sir.
So, you don't know about this, but I have a brain teaser for you, a kind of a brain buster, actually.
Okay.
I love movies. You know that. So I know you like movies, but a certain kind of movies. But I'm gonna hit you with a hard one today, Gilbert, for Una Más. So let me pull this up, and let's see. Here it is. Gilbert, you can only pick 3 of these.
Okay. Out of those 9.
Out of Friday Night Lights, Remember the Titans, The Blind Side, Rudy, Any Given Sunday, Jerry Maguire, The Longest Yard, We Are Marshall, The Water Boy.
Okay. This is pretty tough now that I look at it. But keep looking at all the ads on your page. Don't give them free promos for Fernando.
Bro.
Okay, so pick 3 out of these 9.
Yeah.
I see a good amount of Adam Sandler. I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble. I give you the ones I don't like.
Oh God.
Because I will just say this real quickly. I don't like Rudy. A little overrated. Yes, I've upset many people. We Are Marshall's okay. You know, a little motivational. But all right, I got it. I'm looking right in the middle. It's like a bingo card. You gotta take it. One of my picks is Any Given Sunday, Jamie Foxx, Al Pacino, LL Cool J, a bunch of drama, chaos. You know I like that after watching Love Is Blind. I love the chaos and all the drama that Willie Beeman and Al Pacino have. And just seeing LL Cool J just destroy people on the field. You gotta go Any Given Sunday.
Want to win? You gotta let Booby.
There you go. And then of course I will go. I gotta pick an Adam Sandler movie. I love Adam Sandler, and it's gotta be The Water Boy. One of my favorite movies of all time. Water sucks. It really, really sucks. And Foosball is the devil. It's what a classic, Water Boy. I can't say anymore because I just love that movie. The third one it's a little hard for me because you know I really like Remember the Titans, and then but I also like Jerry Maguire, and I just, as you know, I was on TV with a character or an actor from Jerry Maguire, Mr. Jerry O'Connell was on that. So let me say why I won't pick Remember the Titans and why I'm going Jerry Maguire. Remember the Titans, love that movie, but I feel like every teacher from elementary to high school showed me that movie once a week. Whenever it rained at school, roll out the big old TV VCR. I know for a lot of our younger people don't know about VCRs. They put on Remember the Titans and Sunshine, and just hearing all this, I got tired of that movie. But I love Denzel Washington, great actor. But blame the teachers for showing me that movie every single week. So Jerry O'Connell, I'm going your way. Tom Cruise, Jerry Maguire, my 3.
Bro.
I'm guessing we got opposites.
I went to Eastlake High School, which is we were the Titans. No, but I was gonna try and say Remember the Titans. No, Remember the Titans to me was an incredible movie. It just showed that no matter what, through sport, people could come together, and I thought that was amazing. The way Denzel Washington, his character Henry Boone, and I can't remember Yost and him, like the way they were so separate, but at the same time, like I love the part where they're throwing the game for because they told Coach Boone that if he lost one game, he would be fired, and they're throwing the game on purpose. And Yost goes up to the referee and he tells him, "If you throw this game, by God, I will do anything to." Because so Yost was the head coach before for years, and they removed him, and they because they wanted Coach Boone to take over as the head coach of a new squad, which was going to have both black and white players. So I thought that was incredible. And then the part Yost goes up and he tells him, "If you do this, by God, I'll go to every paper and tell them that you threw this game on purpose because you didn't want a black man to be the head coach." And I was like, oh, wow. So to me, that movie's incredible. I loved it. That to me is definitely one. God, you know what's funny? I love Matthew McConaughey and We Are Marshall because
Pretty good.
I love when he starts touching that little mustache that he has, and he does like all this like weird stuff with it. Because I guess the head coach of the team used to do that too. So I thought that was pretty interesting. We Are Marshall. I'm gonna go The Longest Yard. Actually, I love The Longest Yard.
Opposite Adam Sandler movie.
Well, I love The Waterboy, but you chose it, so I'm not gonna go with the same one you did.
Chose wrong then.
So, huh?
Chose wrong.
Me?
Yeah.
I told no. Well, I let you go first. So
Right,
I love The Waterboy. Mama. I love after the game. They're like, I love when he's like, "Hey, you, what was it? Bobby Boucher, you just won the Bourbon Bowl. What do you want to say?" I love Mama. That was honestly one of the best scenes. But I love The Longest Yard because it literally brings WWE.
That's true.
And football together. You got Michael Irvin, you have Goldberg, you have Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kevin Nash, just all the stupid stuff that they do in the movie. Like with Kevin Nash, they take away his steroids and they put estrogen pills in them. Like all the it's just hilarious. Like the whole movie, Chris Rock is hilarious. The whole thing is great. I think it's a well put together movie. The last one I'm gonna go with is obviously you crapped on it and I hate you for it, but I don't care. Rudy.
Yeah.
Rudy is a great film. I think it really shows that it doesn't matter how tall you are, what it's more of a life movie more than sports. I mean, if you dedicate yourself to it,
sounds cheesy.
And there it is. So I definitely loved Rudy. The whole experience. I mean, the only one that believed in him was his brother, and his brother ends up dying. So to me, it was just, it was his brother. To me, it was just a great film. I loved Rudy. I loved the last scene where he literally, he gets a tackle and everybody, or before he goes in, everybody's like, put Rudy in, and they start chanting. The only thing is, I hate Joe Montana for this. Joe Montana went on the Dan Patrick Show, and none of that stuff, like a lot of that stuff didn't happen. So I'm like, okay.
There you go. It's a sham of a movie.
No, that was BS. He shouldn't have said that. Like, leave it alone. Like, you're Joe Montana. You've won 4 Super Bowls. What do you care about if people are if people love Rudy? Just let people like it. And then the same thing happened with The Blind Side. I love The Blind Side. I think it's a great movie. But obviously, I think the real Michael Orr came out and said that a lot of it was Hollywood and stuff. So I definitely I don't know. I hate when people do that. But that was a fun little brain buster, huh, Gilbert?
Yeah, I realized that
you like crapping on stuff.
I was gonna say I like movies that are funny, drama, and movies that say show me the money, give me the money. You like inspiration. You gotta believe. You gotta fight for what you want. Oh, the smallest person in the room could win as well. You're that type of person.
Mysterio has shown me all that.
Cheesy, man. Come on.
Rey Mysterio has shown me all that. That anybody can, anybody any size
can win. Never give up.
Exactly. John, yeah, right.
You're such a Ted Lasso believer,
bro. No, Ted Lasso, they got moved to the second division. So obviously, and I still haven't caught up.
Which that's why I like that show, because it showed you that sometimes in real life you don't get everything you want. There you go.
Yeah, but yeah, if you, as long as you fight and keep on doing it, if he would have had more experience as a coach, they probably win.
Yeah, we still haven't watched that second season, so we shouldn't be talking.
I know, bro. We only watched the end of the.
God, we're terrible people. Let's get to it.
No, you're a terrible person and a terrible movie. Have you already watched Harry Potter 6, 7, and 8?
No, I don't even have time to watch Ted Lasso. Oh, but now it reminds me, I finally got you to watch something that I like, and I guess I know something about TVs, right? Manifest. I know you're hooked. Give me some credit finally.
No. I'll give you credit. It's a really good show. It's funny because nobody in my house has watched it. So yesterday, like I told you, when little Daniel's girlfriend came over, I was like, hey, you've watched Manifest, right? She's like, yeah, I just finished the first season. And so I started talking to her about it because I'm like, I can't talk about it with anybody else except for you. But oh my God, the first season is, well, and I'm not done with it yet. I'm like on episode 5. I'm at the part where, oh my God, I forgot her name. Oh, where Michaela and that guy go into the cave. Yeah. When they go into the cave and he tells her, I killed my little sister. I decided to talk to a girl on the phone, and instead of watching my little sister, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, yeah, I definitely, like, I'm hooked. I'm all about it. So thanks a lot. Before the season starts, you have me hooked on a show. I'm trying to see if I can finish it before next Wednesday. I want to finish it before next Wednesday so I can get out of the way before the season starts. I don't like getting hooked on shows before the season.
I was going to tell you the same thing right now, but first of all, I am jealous of you that you're going through the Manifest experience of season 1, season 2, but I won't be jealous of you when you get to season 3. It just takes a nosedive. But I like the way they ended season 3. I'll just say that. And I am hooked for season 4, the final season. It's back, Fernando, on 828. I don't know, but I told you they're gonna drop it on 828, August 28th, flight 828, and I think Netflix picked it up, the final season. I don't know. I should look into that, but it's gonna happen, Fernando. But just be patient with season 3. I'll tell you that. And yes, I can't really watch movies right now or TV because, man, Fernando, these next 2 weeks leading up to regular season at Washington football team, I have so many stories to work on. We got the podcast to work on, but I won't complain too much. But it's a time of year where like I need to hide for 2 weeks and just write, and then obviously come out every now and then for Compas and practice at Chargers headquarters.
No, I feel it. Honestly, I'm gonna probably give myself Saturday and Sunday.
Bro, I'm definitely working these weekends.
Oh, really? That's why I've been trying to get ahead of everything, and I've been writing and doing stuff because I want to get ahead of it and not have to do anything this weekend. So I'm definitely, but yeah, no, definitely, guys, don't forget, check out our stuff. Orange County Register for Gilbert, SI.com/Chargers for me. We have a lot of great stuff coming up, a lot of great content coming out. You guys know the season's about to start. We got you guys. So we're definitely excited about this.
Fernando, I'm not going to give away what you're working on, but I just want to say it's really, really good. And I can't wait for your stuff to come out. I'll just say that, Fernando.
I appreciate it. No, I'm excited for what you got going on also because I saw a lot of smiles between you and a certain individual. So I'm definitely excited about that. A lot of good stuff coming out from both of us. And guys, don't forget, show Dan and Dago some love. Follow him on Twitter. He just started a Twitter. He's got some fun stuff going on. So I thought that was pretty cool. I love the shout out that he gave us to hopefully be an all in on the Chargers, that Chargers TV show. That was pretty funny that he shouted us out. He's like, when are you guys going to get the Compas on? Definitely still waiting for that invitation, but that's another story for another day. But definitely we're having a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. Like we said, don't forget, we will be having 2 audio shows now. Once the season starts, Sunday nights after the games. If it's a Monday night game like it is against the Raiders, then we will release a Monday night. Compas will now be moving to Wednesdays and officially next week, Gilbert?
Yeah, starting next week. And
so the preview show will be next Wednesday. We will be releasing the episode of Compas, but we will be going live.
Yeah, we're going to try to do something fun with the live Tuesday evening, and people like that. Maybe we'll stick with it because we'll be recording these on Tuesdays, and say we finish up early, unless somebody's busy on the smoker, Fernando. Maybe we have to wait till Wednesday, but I will try Tuesday evening next week. That's exciting. But make sure you're subscribed on the audio version because we're giving you exclusive content on Apple, Google and Spotify. Something unique. I think these episodes have been fun. We kind of our preseason doing the recap of the 3 games, and having some audio with Francisco and Adrian has been a nice touch as well. So I'm just excited for what's coming up this season. It's a lot. It's time consuming, but I think we have something cooking, something special, and hopefully you guys subscribe on YouTube as well. Follow us on Instagram, because who knows? Maybe when we're on these road trips, we'll have downtime together, Fernando, and we'll go live on IG and go live on YouTube and just do Q&As. Like, just have fun with it.
I'm actually excited because we've been talking about it, because we've been talking about the Washington one for a while. I'm excited about the potential live that we're going to be doing in Washington, D.C., Gilbert. I'm a little excited about that. So, guys, make sure that you guys, like Gilbert said, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. And definitely, guys, thank you so much for rocking with us. Like we said, we appreciate it. And again, Compas will still be on YouTube on Wednesdays. The other 2 shows will be audio only. So thank you guys again for rocking with us. Another week of Compas on the Beat. But for now, Gilbert, vámonos.
Ya nos vamos, pues, vámonos.